All right, Rob, the news, probably the news of the day, the Miami Dolphins.
I don't know if that's really the news of the day, but go ahead.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's
for
news.
Us, for us,
right.
For us.
But the Miami, you're right.
Right?
It's not. It might be the sports news of the day.
That's not the news of the day.
Yes. They go ahead and they sign Jaylen Waddle, their number 2 receiver, because obviously they have Tyreek Hill. I do think Waddle's a number 1 talent, but obviously Tyreek Hill's the number 1. But Waddle, Rob, gets 3 years, $84.7 million, $75 million guaranteed, making him a top 5 paid receiver in the league. $76 million guaranteed, I guess. And so I'm looking at this, Rob, and whether you think whatever you think about this deal for Waddle, you know what's interesting, Rob, is they're paying the receivers but not paying the quarterback. Like, Tua's ready. Tua's ready to get his deal. He wants his deal. And yet they give Jaylen Waddle this huge deal. Obviously, they paid for Tyreek Hill a few years ago. He's got big money, highest paid receiver in the league. Well, I don't know I don't know any other way to look at this, Rob. Now, I think they are in negotiations. But I'm kind of like, I don't know how you can look at this other than I don't want to say a slight on Tua, but it does sense that it seems to me like they have some serious apprehension about giving him the huge deal.
Yeah, I just don't see it like that. I think the receiver market, as you know, Chris, is exploding. Maybe they just want to get this under control, get a guy. It's not like it's $300 million or $200 million.
Yeah, but for receivers,
I understand, but we see what receivers are getting and how the game has changed. And the Tua deal is bigger and more complex, and it's a major commitment. And I think it's just going to take time. I don't think it's a disrespect. Sometimes you take care of smaller things first while you're trying to work through the big things. I don't think it's a reflection of Tua at all. I just think sometimes you need to get those things in order, that house in order. And then like the guys in Cincinnati or whatever, Chris, they're looking for big deals. They're
only going to get slightly more than him. Okay, I mean, this is a top 5 deal.
Yeah, but they're looking for even more than that.
I think Tyreek is the only guy ever to go over 100. Rob G is that. I think he's the only one ever to go over 100. Now A.J. Brown, maybe.
Yeah. I don't look at it as a slight. I'll look at it as a slight when they say they're breaking off negotiations and there'll be no deal. All right, then that's a diss. Then they're telling you something. But sometimes I think you got to be careful. I remember with in Arizona, it looked like they were going to balk at first, right, Chris? And then all of a sudden they came out with this huge deal.
For Kyler?
For Kyler, when it seemed like he was, first acting like a big baby.
That was probably a mistake.
Well, but I'm just saying.
I mean, he played well at the end of last season. Maybe he'll play well. But we both thought.
I just thought it was premature
yeah.
coming off of that terrible playoff game. Remember, which I thought it has to rank as probably the worst quarterback game, Chris, in a playoff game. I remember they couldn't move the ball at all.
It was a terrible game.
It was really, really bad, and it made you just look at him and go, "Is he really going to be your guy long term?" He got hurt. You remember? I think you thought that maybe he wouldn't even play for them, right? That they were hoping to maybe go after a quarterback, but they didn't do that. They actually put him back in. He played better, Chris, at the end of the year, and then didn't they draft a wide receiver? So they didn't even draft a quarterback.
Marvin Harrison Jr. They're going to try to roll with him. And like I said, he played well at the end of last season. But, yeah, there have been a few guys that get over $100 million in contracts, Rob, but obviously the guaranteed money is the real deal. And Waddle is third in guarantees with $76 million. A.J. Brown, $84 million. Amon-Ra St. Brown, $77 million. Tyreek, $72 million. And reportedly he wants a new contract. So – but Rob, look, and we're on the outside looking in. I don't have a dog in this fight or a horse in this race, however you want to term it. If I'm the Dolphins, I understand the apprehension if indeed there is some. I would not, we've talked about it before, I'm not ready to pay Tua. He's played 4 years. He's been fully healthy for 1. He had a nice year last year, no doubt, but he struggled against good teams. We used to talk about how Dak, was beating up on the bad teams and not winning as much against the good teams. Tua's way worse. Tua's 1-6 last year against playoff teams, and his numbers plummet in every category. And he struggled in cold weather, 0-6 when it's 45 or below. So I want to see more from him. So I don't blame the Dolphins. But as a guy looking at this from the outside in, Rob, I look at both sides. If I'm the Dolphins, I'm not ready to pay him. And Rob, if I'm Tua, probably the best thing for him to do might be to sit out. He's not going to OTAs right now. He might need to hold out if he wants to get his money. I mean, we don't know how negotiations are going. Maybe they're playing good with him, and maybe it looks like they're going to give it to him. But if not, that might be the only way he's going to get paid.
I'm going to hold judgment until this offseason is up. I just think that they'll come around. You don't go paying wide receivers if you don't know who's going to be the quarterback, or you don't have a quarterback in place. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, but nowadays, think about it. Sometimes teams, it's a copycat league, we know. And don't think McDaniel is in the whole Shanahan group. And don't think that they're not looking at the Niners and saying, man, they got, Deebo Samuel, they got George Kittle, they got Brandon Ayuk, they got a great running back in McCaffrey, and their quarterback was Mr. Irrelevant. Now, obviously, Brock Purdy's better than people thought, but I'm saying I bet you some teams are looking at that, Rob. Let's get the rookie quarterback who's not making a lot of money on the rookie deal and put the great pieces around him. And we think, because McDaniel's offense already is paint by numbers somewhat. Just do this. You don't have to ad lib. You don't have to go outside of what I'm saying. Do this. And there might be some thinking. I do agree with you. They don't have like a backup who I think could step in as a full-time starter, right? Mike White, who we saw with the Jets, he could probably give you 4 or 5 good games here or there. Skylar Thompson, you know what I mean? They don't have the replacement, I would agree. But I don't know if that's the route they might be thinking about. And maybe next year if they want to draft a rookie, we'll see. But, it's interesting.